everyone, this is Degenerate Sheep here, and this is the first ranked game this season that I'll be reviewing. Now, this is actually one of my placement games, and I remember that day that I played quite a lot of them, I think 6 or 7, and this is one of the last ones. And I started to notice certain patterns, because one of the things that I noticed is that when I start becoming tired or like have played a little bit more games than usual, I feel like I start making more obvious mistakes and my decision making becomes worse. So I'm going to review this game to see if that is exactly true, and from a first point of view I already think that I've made a few crucial mistakes that I wouldn't have made if I was playing at my A game. So it's clearly something I should be mindful of in the future. Now in this game I decided to go, I was one of the first picks, so I go to my favorite champ and also my comfort pick, which is Bart. And it turns out I'm playing against Sivir Pike with a Jinx as my AD carry. So, well, during the lane not a lot of things happen, but I feel like a lot of quite some more mistakes happen during the mid game. So the first death that I have is at 10-15. So let's cast the play first. So I clear the ward, after which I try to get out. And what happens is that I do a small roam, pick up a few chimes, and go to bot lane, and actually I think I try to ward the bush, which gets me caught by the Pike and Rek'Sai, which actually trapping Jinx, but I ran right into it. So let's see. So yeah, so once she clears those minions, I start to go warding, and they immediately find me, and they give me absolutely no chance to escape, even though I tried. So going back when I came in, I started coming in. First off, I think that I was a little bit too hasty on the. I was a little bit too hasty on the bush thing. For once, is that I think we actually have a better chance at evading them when they run into our lane, especially since the Sivir is not there, so they're essentially taking a 2v2. I think I also knew that the Sivir had backed, and that's why I went for the ward. But come to think of it, if the Sivir has backed, then at most, from what we can see now on the map, if we turn on the view, if we know that the Sivir has backed, then at most 2 players could be inside the bot lane, so we might as well just make the push now, and if they come and fight us, then it's still a 2v2. While when I go to ward and they actually trap me, then it becomes a whole different story. If on the other hand, which I don't really remember, but if on the other hand I knew that something was up, I could have also always warded over the tri-bush, although I see that I do not have any wards, so I actually don't know why I even went for that ward, considering the fact that I don't have any. So I think it's just a mistake on my part, and the better play would have been to just stick with Jinx and keep in the back of my mind that at most 2 players can be bot, and that they can be evaded. If they we can run away from them if they try to go for us. So now, of course, what happens is, as you can see, after the push out, I immediately try to go, and the Pike notices. They notice that, and they look me for it. So that's the first death. Now, the second death occurs 40 minutes later, which is quite some time. So here I felt like I didn't make too many mistakes, but it must also have been that I've been a little bit too passive. But let's see. So what happens is that this is actually a bit of a tricky spot. So I decided to push the tower with LeBlanc. Because we had pressure on the bot side, we had pressure on the mid side, so I decided to help LeBlanc push the tower, even though my help probably wasn't necessary there. What happens is they lose 2 towers while killing 2 of our allies. So now, the next thing that happens is that they will start the Baron. And well, let's cast this one. So I get ult by Pike, I fight them a bit, and then over time me and Jinx will try to contest this Baron, which is a clear mistake because they have the man advantage, especially since LeBlanc also went back. So it's essentially us doing doing a 2v4. They still get the Baron and we get dangerously close to killing them all, but of course this is an outnumbered fight. It should go in their favor, even though they were that low. So I think going back to this spot, where I'm already roaming topside, 2 people died, we know they're doing Baron. There is actually not much we can do at this point. We already got a reward for them deciding to jump on our other 2 players. We got 2 towers out of it. And if we see that the LeBlanc is recalling, then we should either wait for the LeBlanc before we take that fight, if we're able to wait, and otherwise we just give up the Baron and maybe try catching some of them during their recall. But I think that decision to fight the Baron 2v4 is it's not exactly like a really bad play, because there's not much that we can lose anymore. But it seems like we're never going to get that Baron, so the best we can hope for is to get lucky and maybe kill more than 2 of them. It's a bit of a sketchy situation. I think giving up the Baron is also fine. Trying to die for it is also fine. Maybe I should have focused their jungler instead, but I had to walk through a few people, so I think that there's not much better I could have done. That's not exactly something that I see that could have been done better. Let's look at it again. Yeah, in that spot when we see the wards, like we see that the jungler is pretty healthy. Yeah, maybe I could have done a bit more of an aggressive portal, make sure that I'm exactly on the face of the Rek'Sai, so he has to panic smite. Maybe Jinx can steal it. But still, we actually were lucky that Tristana wasn't there at all from the beginning, or she would have just jumped over and killed us both. She was actually really good. So I think it's better to just give it up. We just got lucky to even have to take out 2 of their players. And we also both had shutdown, so it's definitely not worth. Actually, we give them a lot of gold, so definitely a wrong play. You should just give up the Baron, maybe put down some wards, something like that. Just use my time in a useful manner, knowing that all of them will be at Baron. So then the next death is not that far behind, so at 29, they take the dragon, and we still decide to take the fight. It's just a rather awkward one, because it felt like indeed everyone was there, and Kayn called that he was gonna engage. So let's see. So he engages a bit, our carries are not there, so this is definitely a weird fight. So yeah, I decide to go a bit further, and Siege punishes me by knocking me right into the Pycult. But what happens in the end, is just the result of that fight is actually that we kill 3 of them while only losing 2. So it seems like a good fight, but I feel like at a certain point in that fight, there was actually a break that we could have decided to disengage, and I didn't play my role correctly. So considering that the Jinx is actually quite fit, and that here, like for example, I don't have my ult, so this is definitely not great. But if we pause here, we're still missing 2 carries, so I should be thinking in my back head to get out of the fight while if I still can. So I still have my portal, so that's fine. I can still be here. I'm not really focused. Then this happens, so the Jinx comes in, rockets everybody. And this is where the fights start getting interesting, because they cannot contest this Jinx, especially when I stand next to her. With me and the Kayn next to her, it will be really hard to contest the Jinx, so we can just run them over if they try. So this is actually decent, because this is a position where we can try to chase. But what happens is that the Singed is planning to go for the Jinx. At the same time, I overstep a bit. So what happens is the Singed flashes, tries to go for the Jinx, but instead he goes for me and I die. I think maybe we could have peeled off after that, because it feels like we overchased a bit. Well, not that we overchased a bit, but there were mixed decision making. So me and Jinx here decided to go further, but the Kayn and the LeBlanc decided to completely. The Kayn decided to try to do the flank. Maybe we should have waited for that, but instead. It's a bit of a tough spot. I feel like maybe overdid it a bit, and then we got rewarded by somehow the play worked, but I feel it was a mistake maybe to chase. Maybe it was smarter to wait for the cane flank. And be ready for the Singe to slow him down the moment he goes for Jinx. But since I was out of position, I wasn't really able to do that, and he ended up flinging me. It's a bit of a weird fight because indeed the fight itself was really bad. So with that in mind, I should be fighting a little bit safer. I should not compromise my position, and I feel like I didn't do that. So I feel like that part, though subconsciously was correct. So me holding the back a bit, waiting for the LeBlanc and the Jinx is the right play. Now, moving on to the Fortet, is after they I think this is a fight where I completely abandoned what I think should be my role in the team fight. So if you look at the play first, so we're pressuring, we're trying some vision, Riven stuns the Pike, and in that fight kills the Pike. I try to kill the Singe top of her, but what happens is both of them jump on the Jinx, both using everything they have, and they kill the Jinx quite easily, and after that it's quite a lost fight. We don't have the strength anymore to fight them, especially after Riven blew also her ult on the support. So, moving back to the spot where the first engage happened, I should be more focused on what is happening to the Jinx than I actually am. So, I know the Jinx is out of fight now, but I think I'm overstepping it here a bit. We still know that there's other people in the fight, we don't have all the vision. I think the best thing I can do is stand next to the Jinx, because I can still peel quite well for her against, especially against Singe, which is a run-up champ. I have slows on my auto attacks. I can peel him pretty well at this point with 60 chimes. I have a what do I have? I have a 55% slow. It's pretty decent chance that I will be able to peel the Singe, especially since he doesn't have Ghost. So I'm misjudging my role here, and then after they jump on the Jinx, I completely ignore the fact that I have ult and don't use it. So that is also a mistake. So I actually had a chance at saving her if I ulted both of them. I could have given the Jinx a little bit more time, but I don't know if that would have worked. I should have been there from the beginning, making it a lot harder for them to jump on my AD carry. So I felt like I made quite a decision mistake there, not bidding for my Jinx, who at that point was very fed, actually very farmed, and already had almost all her items. So this is definitely a mistake there. It feels like, because I was tired and a little bit tilted, I feel like I was a little bit too bloodthirsty and standing on the front line, going for the stuns, for the kills, instead of thinking about maybe peeling the Jinx, because of course they have to run up champs. They're reasonably. I should be able to peel Rek'Sai and Singe. Those are not very hard engagey champs, and I did not do that. So in the future I should definitely try to work. Especially I see that from this fight and how tired I am. I see that the fact that once I get tired, I sometimes forget what my role is in teamfights, and that is something I should work on and improve on in future games. Something I will be taking into the next games. Now, the last death is actually a very big mistake of mine. This is completely me shutting down under tilt. So what happens is I actually spotted a lot of people on the bot lane, and I know they are still there, and I still just run into them and basically just grief my whole team, because this play actually ends up losing us the game, which is slightly upsetting to look at again. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of plays that could have been doing, especially since at this point where I'm standing here, there is a lot of minions flooding into our towers. There is also no objective on the bot side. Technically I shouldn't even be here on the bot side. I should be protecting our base, even though I'm just a support and I don't have a lot of pushing power. Since I'm not achieving anything by being on this side of the map, except maybe putting down some wards. I should be on that top side, either protecting the wave, or I should be circling around our inner turret, because that's the next thing that will be sieged by them. And I'm doing neither of those. So those two would have been perfectly viable decisions to make, but instead I decided to grief the game, which is something I should definitely look out for. And I really should spend some more time working on these decisions under pressure and when I'm tired, because this cannot happen again in our ranked games, because this will cost me LP in the long run. And with that, I just want to say thank you, and have a nice day.